This is Raw Narrative. Raw Narrative. Stories in the raw.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Raw Narrative. I am your host, Adriana, and today we have quite a few fun topics to discuss together. I really want to bring you guys on to I want you to be brought into my world of a consult call. And I want to break down everything for you. If you are looking at booking your wedding and engagement shoot, there's a lot of topics that your wedding photographer, such as myself, will be asking you about, and we'll get to know each other a lot through that consult call initially. But before we hop into that, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of my life update. For one, oh my goodness, I have 3 pop-ups coming up. I know it's a lot, and I'm really excited about it. The first one, that is going to be on March 2nd. It's a Saturday. That is going to be my couple's greenhouse pop-up session. So similar to a few of my past pop-ups, it's $99, 8 images and 10 minutes. So that's super fun. That one's almost fully booked. You guys are really loving that one. I'm really excited. Okay, next I have 2 other ones, and this is really, really fun. Okay, so I am doing elevated engagement photo shoots. Okay, and they're pop-up style. So I'll be there at 2 venues. So the first one is going to be at the Providence Cotton Mill venue. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's that really cool, the creamy milky white and cement walls when you walk in, and super cool. And there's their wedding venue. So, but we are going to be doing engagement shoots there. And if you guys are wanting to kind of get a taste of that, that's awesome. If you want to get a feel of that and see if you want to have your wedding there, if you like your engagement photos, get a sample of what your wedding photos could look like, essentially, if you book me for your engagements there. But that's $150. That is really cool. Okay. You'll get 20 photos in 15 minutes with me. And then the next one, that's, when is that? I think it's February 10th, I want to say. Let me just double check that. I posted it in my stories. February 10th. Yes. Okay. And then my next one is on March 2nd is actually I already talked about that one, the Oakdale greenhouse one. Sorry, I'm just chronologically out of order there. Okay. And then March 16th, that is going to be another elevated engagement shoot, pop-up style. And that is at Carolina Country Weddings. Okay. That property is so beautiful, guys. It's you have the forest, or you have the rolling Carolina hills. It's super cool. And it's a great spot for a wedding for sure. Beautiful. But we are going to be doing engagements there March the 16th. These are all weekend dates. These are all Saturdays for everyone that, works during the standard work hours during the week. I wanted to make sure I gave you guys some Saturday dates to pick from. So that's exciting. So reach out to me for more information on my Instagram about that. And then today it's just been such a gloomy kind of day today. It's been really bad weather. They actually shut down all the schools, at least in the Charlotte area, all the public and private schools in all the counties got shut down because the winds and the flooding. It was so bad. I had no idea that we were having bad weather. I was oh, it's rainy. But, yeah. It's a gloomy day out, but I still have power. It's funny because my husband, Tyler, you guys met him on the podcast before. He had a dentist appointment today, and he said the dentist's office was like texting him nonstop, like probably 3 to 4 times just today. And then they called him to verify that he was coming in for his appointment. I guess maybe a lot of people were no-showing or just rescheduling their appointments because the weather has been so bad. And I was surprised that they stayed open, but they were open. But what's funny is he was driving over there and he was like, oh, like it's kind of gross out here. He pulls into the parking lot and they literally call him as he's pulling into the parking lot. And they're like, we just lost power. So like they didn't have like section or like the chairs, you know, because all the chairs for your dental offices, they're all done like they move electronically. Like they can't do anything. They can't sign you in. Everything's done online these days. So can't take an x-ray on the x-ray machine. So it's funny. He called me on his way home. He was like, after all of that, they were reaching out to me like all day long. They lost power. Can't control the weather. But that's kind of been what's going on today. I wanted to share a couple funny stories. I know we talked primarily about the funny stories last episode on episode 7, but there were a couple that I wanted to share with you guys. So here's a random funny photographer or a real life story from a photographer, something that happened during a wedding that she was shooting. So let me share her story. She said, it was my first lead backyard wedding. The bride and groom gave a teenager a bottle of straight gasoline to put into the bonfire. He dumped the entire bottle and immediately lit it while standing like 1 foot away. It blew up in his face and he went to the local trauma center burn unit. Luckily, it was basically a sunburn, but it burned his eyebrows off and his hair behind his ears. What is up with these fire stories? I think I shared one on one of the episodes about a bride's hair getting caught on fire, but like, guys, this is so much. This is too much. Okay, here's another one. I had a fight almost break out between the uncle and the best man. Through the wedding, everyone had been taking shots at the open bar. See, everyone gets in trouble when there's like the alcohol involved. Speeches come and everyone is loud at the bar. Best man gets up and everyone is yelling at each other to shut up. Best man yells out the drunk uncle to shut up, and the uncle says something back. And the best man yells that he's going to beat his arse, is what she put. If he doesn't be quiet, then the uncle about runs to the front, but then gets tackled by 2 men and drug out into the parking lot. My gosh. Later on, the mom was stone cold the entire time and is so drunk by the end of the night that the bride has to escort her out. Oh my gosh. That is insane. I can't. Wow, guys, these stories are crazy. So those were just a couple that I thought were funny and wanted to share with you guys. I can't with the alcohol, guys. But anyways, like I said earlier, today I just want to talk to you guys about consult calls and kind of bring you in with me and pretend that we're on a consult call together and really just explain like the outline of the consult call, okay? That way you can be prepared when you meet with your wedding photographer, such as myself, and kind of really think about these questions that I'm about to throw out there at you and just kind of get your brain flowing, get those creative juices flowing in the brain. That way you can start thinking, because it's like a lot to think about, okay? Like you're not just outlining stuff for the photographer. You're having to think about so many other moving pieces of your wedding day. And this is why it's really important to hire a really, really good wedding coordinator, okay? Someone who's super nice on your team, on your vendor's team, on team bride and team groom, not on team wedding planner, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So do your research, hire a really good wedding planner. And what's cool is like a lot of these questions, they do like interlap and intertwine with like a lot of the other parts of your wedding day, because really we're documenting, like as your photographer, I am documenting your day. So I just need to know about your day. So this should like check off a lot of boxes. Okay. Okay. So let me see. I wrote down a few points. So during our consult call, okay? So sometimes this could be like, depending, like I'll feel out like the personality of my bride and groom, or like what they're really wanting, if they're like an all-in kind of people, or if they're just like, let me just gather little bits of information here and there and just like not get too invested. Like there's a lot of different personalities that I end up talking with, and they're really fun and exciting and cool people. If they wanted to come back, like after they booked me, we would go ahead and like do part 2. Or if they were like really vested and they were like on the consult call, just saying like, oh yeah, I love all of this. Like, let's move forward. I would say, okay, do you have a few extra minutes? Since I have you on a call, I want to go ahead and like talk to you guys about a few more line items if they're wanting to book. The first thing that I really love to do is I love to get to know my couples. Okay. I want to hear your story. I want to know, like, how did you meet? I want to know, how did you get engaged? What do you do for work? What do you want to do? What are your, like, tell me about you. Like, do you not have, or do you have any dogs, or do you have like any children, or like, tell me all about you guys. Okay. I want to know your flow. Are you planning on staying local? Do you guys want to relocate? Where are you going to go on your honeymoon? Like, I get really excited, like learning about my couples. So these are like fun questions that I like to ask them. And then after that, I love to share a little bit about myself. So a lot of times, I'll share just the standard wedding photographer from Florida, move up to Charlotte. But sometimes I'll share some just like whatever I feel in the moment, like unique things to connect with my client. Maybe something new that I haven't really shared with anyone else, but it was like appropriate in the moment to share with this couple. So just like any other relationship. So I would share about me as the photographer. And then after that, I love to know, like, what is the style, like, of the or what is the style of my couple? Like, are they, like, I would ask them, like, tell me about, like, your dream wedding. Like, what do you envision? Do you want something more like mountain vibes, barn? Do you want like a whimsical feel in the forest? Like, tell me about that. Okay. And like a lot of times, like their personality really does like intertwine with it. Or sometimes like they'll want something more eclectic, or just something more like natural and earthy. And this is what I need to know. Like, that will really help me learn more about like how to photograph you. Like, I want to make sure I capture you. Okay. So that's why I ask those questions. And then, yeah. So then, like, I already put here, like, what are you going for? Like, what aesthetic are you going for? What are you trying to achieve on your wedding day? And that, like, a lot of times what we can do is like bounce really fun, creative ideas around too. So I could be like, oh my gosh, like, if you want that whimsical forest wedding, like, have you seen those really long, pretty tables that they're like an endlessly long table in the middle of the forest with like hanging lights everywhere? If it's like that whimsical kind of like aesthetic, if that's what my couple is wanting, something like that, I would be like, oh my gosh, like, and they might be like, oh my gosh, we were looking at that, something to connect on. And yeah, just bounce fun ideas off of each other, and essentially just start dreaming. So just dream with your photographer. I love to help my clients get their creative juices flowing, their creative thoughts flowing, and helping them like come up with ideas or like get inspired for things that they're passionate about, or like things that they're like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. And we can actually do this, just like, wow, this could be really cool. Like, have you guys thought about this? Or, and they might share like, oh my gosh, I had the coolest idea. I saw this on Pinterest. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, tell me more. Tell me. And then I'm like, okay, let's add that into your list or whatever. That way I know like this is important. We need to photograph this. Okay. I just really want to know what is important. Like when you are looking back at these photos, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 25, 30 years from now, like, am I able to capture what's important to you? Is it dancing on the dance floor? Is it the getting ready photos? Is it the details of the day? And I really try to capture all of that. That's what's important. But knowing what are the non-negotiables on the wedding day can really help outline like how much time is needed on your wedding day. So for instance, are you wanting to do a first look? Because that could actually save some time where you could go, if you do a first look, we can do some portraits right after the first look if we budget in time for that. And then we would do your family formals after the ceremony. Maybe you'd want to take a handful of, portraits right after the ceremony with, bride and groom portraits, and then obviously wedding party, and then get right back to the party. Sometimes other people are like, no, I want to do like a traditional, like I don't see the bride, I don't see the groom, right before walking down the aisle. So like I want to see them for the first time walking down the aisle. Okay. We can totally do that. I actually did that on my wedding day. So if that's what's important to you, then that's great. And then we would just spend extra time after the ceremony getting portraits. So basically everything is super customizable for like what you're wanting. But there's other elements that do come into play because you're going to have a certain expectation of me as your photographer. And I need to make sure that I communicate my expectations so that way I can achieve your expectations. So with that being said, lighting, that's a big deal. Remember, I think we've talked about that in some past episodes. The lighting, the time of year that you're getting married, what time is the sun setting, what time, that all has a huge element to like play into your day. Okay. So basically we need to know what time your ceremony is starting, right? But if you're getting married like outdoors and if you're wanting, like I'm a natural light photographer. So a lot of times if you're booking me, we're going to be using a lot of natural light because that's what you see in my portfolio. So with that being said, we need to make sure we know like when is the best lighting going to be, right? So we want to make sure it's not dark when we're taking your photos during the ceremony. We want them to be like nice and pretty and airy and like true to color. We just want them to be we want your photos to be beautiful and well lit. And I want to be able to capture everything in like the light of day for you guys. So with that being said, you have to think like in the summer, obviously we have more daylight. In the fall, we don't have very much daylight. And in the winter, we have like no daylight. So we have daylight. I'm just being dramatic. But we need to be able to like itemize that out to be like, okay, well, maybe we need to have an earlier start time if we're getting married in the fall or winter months. Whereas in the summer, you can have a little bit of a later start in the day and spend more time having like those getting ready moments in the beginning of the day because there's more sunlight. Okay. So that's really important. And then my other expectation that I always love to bring up to my clients is weather. Okay. We can plan for the best and hope for the best, but we need to be prepared for rain any time of the year. And especially if you have a winter wedding, we need to be prepared for snow as well, or ice or whatever. Now, with that being said, I didn't say we have to freak out over it. I said we need to be prepared and we need to talk about these things. So what I always love to do is tell my clients, like, order a bunch of clear bubble umbrellas. Okay. I don't care if it says it's going to be sunny out. You never know what the weather's going to be like. You can hope for sun. I would say like, if you guys are wanting like really cool, fun photos in the rain, like let's do it. Like I am 100% down. I will bring my camera gear out in the rain. It's weather sealed. So we're going to have a good time. We will splish and splash in the wedding dress and in the tux if that's what you're wanting to do. And even like have enough for your whole wedding party. And then we can use them for all the family members during family formals. So I would say like just have enough for you guys and every single person in your wedding party, including the officiant. And then we can borrow them for the family formals. Okay. So just order them. And then if we don't use them and they're untouched and unopened, if you just order them a couple, maybe like 2 weeks before the wedding day. And if they're unopened, untouched, unused, simply just return them in excellent condition, unused, right? So that's just a good way to have like the reassurance that like your day is covered if it rains. And that's the same for the snow. So if that's what you're wanting to do in the snow, we can do that too. Just have the expectation of knowing that your day is your day and it's about the two of you getting married, right? And so if you just focus on the two of you, all the other little life things, it doesn't matter. Like all the little things that can happen, the stories that you hear me read about the reception. Sure, there's like things that we can do to prevent the crazy things from happening, but sometimes there's not. And if you just focus on the two of you, you can laugh off the rest, So hopefully this has helped kind of outline like what you need to start thinking about if you are planning your wedding and needing to book your wedding photographer. From there, a lot of times I'll schedule another planning session with my bride and groom if they want to talk about their engagement shoot, so we can collaborate on that. Or if they just want to text back and forth about that, we can do that. Or if they just want to talk about it right then and there on the consult call, we can do that. So it really just depends on schedules and how much time everyone has to discuss all the topics. So that's pretty much a consult call, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you're listening on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe and give it a thumbs up. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and give me a 5-star review if you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, and that just helps the podcast get out to more listeners. Thank you so much, guys. Toodles.
This is Raw Narrative. Raw Narrative. Stories in the Raw.